Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having a great week. I want to share some things that I picked up from Paul David Tripp, his book, New Morning Mercies. I've been enjoying this devotional book very much this year. I did not start at the beginning of the year. He begins it by saying, why do we say we place our hope in the cross of the Lord Jesus Christ and yet practically ask the law to do what only grace can accomplish? He says he's been in a lot of Christian homes, and he suggests that sometimes in parenting that we rely much more on law, and there need to be boundaries and things like that, but we often rely on that more than we rely on grace. And we can do it in church life, and I will say that as I grow older, I think that the church is more grace-oriented, less law-oriented, but just saying. So he says in their zeal to control behavior, oftentimes parents look to the tools of threat. Quote, I'll make you afraid enough that you'll never do that again. I remember that, and it was effective, but there is a weakness with that. Then there's manipulation. I'll find something you really want and tell you that I'll give it to you if you obey, or of course, take it away from you. That's very effective. And then there's guilt. I'll make you feel so bad, so ashamed, that you'll decide not to do this again. Some of those can work, but they're much more short-term. And that is the weakness of the law. The law can tell us what's wrong, but it can't change us on the inside. Tripp goes on to say, this way of thinking denies two very important, significant things that the Bible tells us. The first is that before sin is a matter of behavior, it always is a matter of the heart. It's a matter of the heart. We sin because we're sinners. We sin because it starts on the inside. For example, anger is always an issue of the heart before it's an act of physical aggression. It's something that comes from within us. This is important to recognize because no human being has the power to change the heart. You can try, but you can't necessarily go in and change your heart. And you can't change the heart of another human being. The second thing is that if threats, manipulation, and guilt could create lasting change in the life of another person, Jesus would not have had to have come. And his mission was radical. He didn't just come and say, okay, let me lay some knowledge on you about grace. No, he exemplified it to the nth degree. And the cross does communicate to us that there was something that was really wrong. That Jesus wouldn't have had to have come and suffered in the way that he did unless there was something that was really wrong. And so sometimes by resorting to short-term methods to get desired behavior, we're circumventing the grace of God and we're denying the gospel of Jesus. We might think we're doing just the opposite. I forget who the theologian was, but he talks about how we've got the shepherd, and the goal as sheep is to follow the shepherd. But sometimes we're not really even watching the shepherd at all. We're just like, oh, all the other sheep are going, I'll just go with the other sheep. But at some points, we're not looking at the sheep nor the shepherd, and we get to the edge of the flock. And that's when we're starting to really drift away. But then you've got the watchdog, the sheepdog, who kind of barks and gets after our heels and gets us back in the flock. Sometimes we as followers of Jesus are too focused on the law. We're too focused on the don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. When what God really wants and always has wanted is our heart, then he's the one that can change it. So you might be moving with the flock, but is your focus on the shepherd? I just want to leave you with that thought today. Don't be focusing on the do's and the don'ts. Be focusing on Jesus, the great shepherd of your soul who loves you and gave himself for you. Have a great week.